Tracy Joy Tiquirino from BPED 3C, and for today's video, I'll be showing you the 3 types of eating disorder, which is the anorexia nervosa, the bulimia nervosa, and the binge eating disorder. But before that, I'll be telling you my objectives for today's vlog. So the first one is to disseminate up-to-date information on research and best practices in the field of eating disorders. The second one is to educate students, faculty, and the community regarding the etiology, treatment, diagnosis, and current issues in the field of eating disorders. And the last one is to promote awareness about eating disorders. So let's proceed. Anorexia nervosa is an eating disorder characterized by weight loss or lack of appropriate weight gain in growing children, difficulties maintaining an appropriate body weight for height, age, and stature, and in many individuals, distorted body image. So, common signs and symptoms. First, dramatic weight loss. Second, dresses in layers to hide weight loss or stay warm. Third, preoccupation with weight, food, calories, fat grams, and dieting. Makes frequent comments about feeling fat, resists, or unable to maintain a body weight appropriate for their age, height, and build. Let's watch the videos.
I was a new student and I had nobody to hang out with. I knew nobody, and I remember this one girl who was really mean, and she just had lots of friends and her army of people, and I remember her calling me fat and ugly, and it was sad. And so I kept that in mind, that I was fat, and I listened to what she said, and I decided to start losing weight. So I decided to not eat as much, and I would eat like a few vegetables every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And just like that, I lost weight. I dropped 10 pounds a week. I got from 110 pounds down to 50. I was insanely skinny, and that's when I thought that I had an eating disorder. But I didn't want to stop. Every time I looked in that mirror, I always thought to myself, oh my gosh, you're so fat. Lose some weight. That thought in your head that is telling you, oh no, you're not fat. No, you're not fat. Don't, you got an eating disorder. It's like telling you, but then that one thought that's like, oh, you're so fat, you're so ugly, that reminds you of that bully girl. That just kept happening to me. So then I just started losing weight. And then one day at school, I collapsed on the floor during chemistry class. And I don't know what happened, but next thing I knew, I was in the hospital. They started feeding me with needles and tubes, and I was just terrified because I didn't want to gain any weight because I thought I was still fat.
Bulimia nervosa is a serious, potentially life-threatening eating disorder. Common signs and symptoms. First, evidence of binge eating, including disappearance of large amounts of food in short periods of time or lots of empty wrappers and containers, indicating consumption of large amounts of food. Second one is evidence of purging behaviors, including frequent trips to the bathroom after meals, signs and/or smells of vomiting, presence of wrappers or packages of laxatives or diuretics, drinks excessive amounts of water or non-caloric beverages, and/or uses excessive amounts of mouthwash, mints, and gum. Let's watch the videos.
Bulimia nervosa is an eating disorder and a form of mental illness. People with bulimia binge eat. This means they eat an excessive amount in a short period with little or no control. They then try to compensate by purging the food, making themselves vomit, or using laxatives. Sufferers often try to hide their illness from those around them. Signs that someone may have bulimia include frequent use of the toilet after meals and obsession with food and body shape. They may also have damaged teeth from vomiting all the time. Over time, bulimia can lead to problems with the digestive system, dehydration and malnutrition. Treatment involves counselling to create positive attitudes to food and build self-esteem. Long-term engagement with this process can improve chances of recovery. It can be very hard at times, but many people do recover from bulimia, especially with the support of friends and family.
Binge eating disorder is a severe, life-threatening, untreatable eating disorder. So binge eating disorder is a severe, life-threatening, untreatable eating disorder characterized by recurrent episodes of eating large quantities of food, or often very quickly and to the point of discomfort. A feeling of a loss of control during the binge, experiencing shame, distress, or guilt afterwards, and not regularly using unhealthy compensatory measures. To counter the binge eating, it is the most common eating disorder in the United States. Common signs and symptoms of binge eating. First is secret recurring episodes of binge eating in a discrete period of time and amount of food that is much larger than most individuals would eat under similar circumstances. Feels lack of control over ability to stop eating. Feelings of disgust, depression, or guilt after overeating, and or feeling of low self-esteem. The next one is steals or hoards food in strange places. Creates lifestyle schedules or rituals to make time for binge sessions. Let's watch the videos.
Eating disorders are about more than food. They're complex mental health conditions that affect a person's sense of worth and self-esteem and can take a serious toll on his or her physical health. Binge eating disorder, or BED, is one that's more common than you might think. In fact, in a survey across 14 countries, almost 2% of people experienced binge eating disorder. And although all eating disorders deserve attention, in this study, binge eating disorder was more prevalent than bulimia in virtually all countries. One thing all eating disorders have in common is that they seriously disrupt eating behavior. Individuals with anorexia nervosa often go to great lengths to maintain a low body weight, often by drastically limiting how much they eat or by exercising to excess. Their perception of themselves is often skewed, so they may feel overweight even when they're not. By comparison, those living with bulimia nervosa often binge or eat large amounts of food, then purge or get rid of that food, often by vomiting or using laxatives. So rather than limiting what food goes into their bodies, they control how food leaves their bodies. Importantly, just because a person may sometimes binge eat, that doesn't mean they have binge eating disorder. So where exactly does binge eating disorder fit in? You can think of binge eating disorder as a repetitive cycle of eating and distress. While its exact cause is unknown, binge eating disorder may have origins in the nervous system, which is designed to process information and mediate behavior. Possible triggers include social stress, restrictive diets, negative feelings towards food or one's body, and boredom. But what differentiates binge eating disorder from other eating disorders we've already looked at? For starters, with binge eating disorder, no actions are taken to undo or make up for the effects of binging, like vomiting or overexercising, as with bulimia. And interestingly, binge eating disorder affects men and women more equally than bulimia tends to. Now, what exactly counts as an episode of binging? These incidents involve eating very large amounts of food with a sense of lack of control. Much more food than most would eat in a similar time period or situation. And these episodes don't just happen on Thanksgiving or at buffet dinners. They occur on a regular basis. But how often is regular? The episodes must occur at least once a week for 3 months before the behavior can be considered recurring and not just occasional. How can you learn to recognize binge eating disorder? Well, symptoms might include eating extremely fast, eating until you're uncomfortably full, eating without actually being hungry, eating alone due to embarrassment, or feeling depressed afterwards. In fact, feelings of shame, guilt, or disgust after eating are quite common, causing a great amount of distress. And those living with binge eating disorder may hide their behavior due to shame, even from their doctors and loved ones, but they don't have to. Recognizing binge eating disorder is the first step to getting help. If you think you or someone you know might have binge eating disorder, you can always ask a healthcare professional or reach out to patient organizations or support groups. They can lend an ear, help you understand what you're going through, and may be able to help you manage your condition. Learn to recognize binge eating disorder. There is help. To take action today, you can reach out to the following organizations.
You don't have to kill yourself, basically. You are you, and you are perfect.